that's why, I mean, it's so hard to make real. It's, you know, you can type it up in a lot of movies, a lot of screenplays will have people waxing philosophic about stuff they just don't buy.
Yeah.
But when you can get in, when you're lucky enough in order to have material like that in the hands of people that I've been able to be in the hands of, well, then you can count your blessings.
Yeah. Do you learn something every time out?
Oh, yeah, without question. Sometimes you learn what not to do, in all honesty, you know. A mistake not to make next time. But what shortcuts you can't take. But I find, yeah, I find that there's no shortcut. There's no excuse for familiarity with the text. I mean, that's an old lesson that I learned a long time ago, but I didn't really understand it before. There's always a distance that you have to go.
What does that mean, familiarity with the text?
Well, you have to know what it is that you're saying. You have to know that, you know, of course, you have to trust, you have to make the alliance of the people who are going to be making the movie as well in order to help you shape. But you have to know deep down inside somehow the truth behind what the character is going through, even though you will maybe you may never get a chance in order to actually verbalize it. But you have to understand it. You have to know that the risk that the character is running every step of the way.
Without that, you have nothing. You have nothing that's strong.
Well,
or worth.
Even with the Nora Ephron movies I've made, those are about guys that have deep-seated fears about what's going to happen to them in the confines of essentially a great, you know, witty Nora Ephron society comedy of the day,
in
but
Seattle
it's still got to be there.
And You've Got Mail.
You've Got Mail.
Yeah. They explain that to me one more time. They both have a sense of what this character is about.
Well, yeah, in Sleepless in Seattle, to me, was all about a guy who was honestly saying, "My wife how will I ever love again?
Exactly.
I can't do that because the love of my life is gone." And in You've Got Mail was a guy, I am going to repeat the life of my grandfather and father. I'm going to have 5 marriages, and none of them are going to work out. I don't want that. So I mean, you got to come up with those kind of superstructures.
I mean, is there any quality that a character has to have for you to invest your own time in it? Is it truth? Is it something?
I have to understand his motivations.
That's it.
Yeah, I have to understand his rationale.
If you can't get it, if it's not real for you on that level, then you're not going to go there.
Right. To me, because then anything is explainable. You know, then anything can happen. He can say or do anything. And to me, it's like, well, how did he get there? How is it that he's saying that? Otherwise, it's like, my joke is that it's like being the guy in the James Bond movie who wants to, let me get this straight, he wants to rule the world, right? Is there a reason that he wants to rule the world? Can we figure out what this thing is?
Has he told anybody?
There's nothing in order to hang it on. That's the motivation, the reasons for him. Now, it doesn't have to be a big part. It doesn't have to even be that important stuff. But I have to get it.
You said an interesting thing I read somewhere about this. You said that when you went to the island, I mean, and this is what professionalism is about, you had to be locked in on all that stuff with respect to Chuck. I mean, there was no time. You had to go in there arriving what you owed to your colleagues.
Yes.
Is that when Hank shows up on the island, he knows why his character's there, and he knows where his character's going, and he knows.
That was the job.
Yeah, this is the job.
That's the job. Well, because I was responsible for some of it.
Yeah, right.
But it's just too hard a place. Too hard a place to be. And for me to say, listen, give me another 15 minutes in order to figure this out. But this is also the alliance with Bob. Bob will sit down and he will talk for 8 hours, so that you will both know what it is that you're doing when you're there. Now that means in that 8 hours, his opinion changes, my opinion changes. He never dictates, here's what you have to do in this scene, pal. It's never like that. He'll come in and say, so what do you think's going on in this scene? And he'll have his ideas and I'll have my ideas, and we'll get there after a while. He did that on Forrest Gump, which was an extraordinary pre-shoot experience for me, because by and large movies are, you have wardrobe fittings, you have some read-throughs, you talk about it a little bit, and maybe the director works it out on the set when he gets there. But on Forrest Gump, Bob had us all, everybody, Michael T., Gary, Eric Roth, who wrote it, Sally, Rob, we all sat in a room and talked about the movie for 5 days, each other's characters, because Bob's business philosophy was, this is so that on the day when the trucks are being paid for and the location is being rented, we will not be wasting time trying to figure out what it is that we're doing here. But philosophically and creatively, it was also like, you are now going to test your preconceived notions of what this movie is about, and we will all learn something from whatever everybody else's point of view. It was substantial.
Is anything missing in terms of when you look at, the sort of craft of acting that you wish you had? you know?
Oh. Well, it's always a battle against self-consciousness. It's hard to get past the realization that you're pretending to be somebody and people are looking at you, even if it's the crew. I wish I had had I wish I'd had more basic things, more tools. I wish I'd gone through more classes. I wish I had been forced to take a dance class. I wish I had forced to get up and sing in front of people. I wish I had taken like I wish I'd gone to that kind of like performance school in which you have to get past the self-consciousness of not being able to do it well and still having to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of
it's
course.
like I couldn't. The idea of singing in front of anybody makes my throat constrict.
Yes,
I can't do it. And I wish that I would have
because somebody told you weren't very good at some point, and you've never gotten beyond that.
Yeah, yeah. Or get off the stage, or you don't get the job, or anything like that. I wish I had gone through more of the tools of the actor, so to speak, than
But you said an interesting thing about. I mean, this is not the same point, but you said an interesting thing about Castaway, which is going out there by yourself as the actor is a little bit like a guy who stands in front of an audience to sing country and western song. I mean, you got a guitar and that's it. You got that prop and you got nothing else. I mean, you got to make it compelling from that.
Well, I had an advantage in that if acting is reacting, which is if there's any one definition, it's probably what it is. At least everything I was reacting to was part of the physical world. It was hot there. The water was deep. The waves did buffet me around there. So everything, I had the luxury of knowing that everything worked on film. So all they had to do was choose what they were going to use, more or less, and I didn't have to worry about, somebody was, our blocking wasn't correct, or I didn't muff a line or something like that. I had a ridiculous amount of total freedom when the camera was actually rolling.